tried to do this one way, so we'll do it another. I wanted to post a video. This is my second video concerning two things. One is the general election cycle for 2012, and the other is these attacks on the United States embassies and consulates in the Middle East and particularly in Europe. I'm a little concerned with how the news media, particularly the main and alternative news medias, have covered these events and the reporting of these events. And in particular, I'm greatly concerned by one news organization's coverage, and that is CNN. CNN has this big moniker that they live by, or supposedly live by, saying that they're the worldwide leader in news, and that nowhere else are you going to get the kind of news reporting that CNN does on a daily basis. There's no other erstwhile news organization out there like CNN, period. Folks, this is anything but true. This news organization on air does not report all the facts as written and the facts as they are concerning the world in which we live. Concerning the 2012 election cycle, the general election cycle that we're now in the middle of, they don't report that there are five, when I say five, viable candidates for the presidency of the United States. And those five candidates right now are as follows. The current one being President Barack Obama, former governor of Massachusetts, Mitt Romney, former governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, Dr. Jill Stein, and former Congressman Virgil Goode. You've got a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, a Green Party, and a Constitution Party candidate. Okay? All five of these candidates are vying for this office. CNN does not report that on their air. They'll report it online, on their online area, in their social media area, but they won't report it on air. Why? What is the difference, or what is so special or not special a difference between the on-air viewer versus the online viewer? That's the question that I want to ask and that I would like answered. What makes me, as an online viewer, let's say, any more or any less important than an on-air viewer? What's the difference? We're both consumers. That's what we are anyway. We're consumers of the news, folks. We have to go to these news organizations in order to get the news, but when we do go to them, we don't get the news. We get instead what makes them feel good about their prejudices. And when I say makes them feel good, what's cutesy-tootsy, tongue-in-cheek, hat in hand, story to match, make me feel good about my prejudice, because I don't want to have to report the news as written. I don't want to have to report, and pardon my French, I don't have to report that the world in which we live is in a shitstorm right now. Alright? The other thing is concerning these attacks on the U.S. embassies and the U.S. consulates abroad. Folks, those entities are property of the United States federal government. They are sovereignties of the United States federal government. Therefore, they belong to we the people. And an attack is an attack, right? And these attacks and such attacks can be and should be construed as acts of war. Period. American lives, blood, treasure was lost, okay? Was spent defending that sovereignty. But instead of an act of war being discussed in the United States Congress, what we are instead discussing is how bad and how evil and how rotten, okay, a pastor is in Florida for burning the Quran, and what a low-life scum-sucking pig, a Coptic Christian, is in California for putting a video out. Now, to be sure, what Terry Jones and what this other gentleman in Southern California have done is wrong. To be clear, free speech is free speech. It matters not, okay? But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to go about it, okay? But yet, Dr. Susan Rice, the ambassador to the United Nations for the United States of America, and CNN would have us to believe that those two things and those two things only cost the blood and treasure of American lives concerning these attacks on these U.S. embassies and consulates. Okay? Folks, if you believe that, I've got some swampland in New Jersey I'd like to sell you. Get in touch with me. Reach out to me. I'll sell it to you real cheap. Real cheap. But here again, we have CNN reporting that this is all that there is. This is the only reason that these things are happening. This is the only reason. Nothing else. Doesn't matter that Muslim Brotherhood could be involved. Doesn't matter that Taliban could be involved. Doesn't matter that the Supreme Iranian Guard could be involved. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's just those two things and those two things only. And just like it doesn't matter that there are 5 candidates vying for the presidency of the United States, viable candidates. And when I say viable, they've met the following criteria. They're on the ballot in all 50 states. They're polling above 15% either nationally or in battleground states. And they've met the quote-unquote eligibility requirements to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States. And all 5 of these individuals have met that and then some. But does CNN report that there are 5 viable candidates vying for this office? Do they have debate? Do they have advice and consent on their airwaves? Not just no, but hell no. They'll have it online. Online is no problem. We'll have it online all day. That's no problem. But to have it on air, that's a problem. Why is that? The answer that I would offer you is it because it does not make their on-air personalities feel good about their prejudices. And they want to feel good about their prejudices. So here's the deal. I'm calling CNN out. I'm calling AOL Time Warner out. Do the news. Report the news as written or close up shop. It's that simple. It should not be that hard to do that simple of a job. You manage to, let's say today, for instance, earlier today, I have no problem with this, but let's just cite as an example. Actor Denzel Washington, a profound and prolific supporter of the Boys and Girls Club of America, today helped distribute an award to the National Boys and Girls Club Youth of America, to a young lady from Kansas City. CNN had on its airwaves Denzel Washington and this recipient of this award. That's fine. Denzel Washington is a great man. I respect him. He's a fine actor, a fine human being, and what he's done for the Boys and Girls Club of America, and in particular for the Fisher House, for the wounded warriors and their families that are coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan and other places abroad, and the families need a place to stay while their wounded warrior is recovering in medical hold and trying to resume a life outside of the United States military. Erstwhile, Denzel Washington is a fine, fine man, okay? And he should be noted. But Frederica Whitfield interviewed Denzel Washington and this young lady for 15 minutes. Rather than report on the veritable shitstorm that's going on in the world, okay? That was deemed noteworthy and newsworthy, okay? But what's actually happening and causing the problems in the free world in which we live in? Nope. Right? What's actually going on as far as this 2012 election cycle? No. But yet, I can go online and I can go on Twitter and Facebook and even here on YouTube and find out something. If I had half sense and I had to say so concerning the running of CNN, I would be saying, folks, we're losing the battle here. The battle is lost. Social media is doing our job. We should be building the narrative. We should be driving the news. We are the worldwide leader in news. Nobody else covers the news like CNN does, or at least used to anyway. They don't do that. Instead, they want to have cutesy-doopsy, tongue-in-cheek, hat in their hand, story to match, make me feel good about my prejudice news anchors on the airwaves, talking about whatever else other than news, okay? And other than the fact that the world in which we live in is burning. It's burning. And it's troubling to me. And so I'm calling CNN out. I'm calling AOL Time Warner out. Do your job. Report the news accurately, completely, fairly, and without pride or prejudice, as written and as it happens, or close up shop. It's that simple. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.